Welcome back to BeerFormers. This is episode 34, and we have some fun stuff to talk about today. Yeah, welcome. Thank you all who continue to support us with your comments, and make sure you hit all those buttons, like, subscribe, all the bell, all that stuff like you're supposed to do. It keeps us knowing that we're doing the right thing, and I know people really like the sips, so the sips are dependent on me getting new stuff though, and I've got a couple things I need to get sips going on, but I do have about 2 new toys sitting upstairs now, but I haven't got those yet.
Busy.
I've been a little busy with work. This video is probably going to be later than usual when you finally see it, but that's just because work's been hectic. But we had a fun experience a couple weekends ago where we went to a new place up near Peoria, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. And so it's going to be a little different. We're not going to be able to sample any of their beers live because they didn't. This place was small enough where they didn't have growlers or cans.
Well, they do have growlers, but we'll talk about that later.
Tell me more about that.
Yes.
But so anyways, we'll get to that. I'm just teasing a little bit. But the toys we're going to talk about first because it says BeerFormers, where we talk about Transformers and adult beverages. Going on with our...
This is my adult coffee.
Adult coffee. Going on with our theme that we've been kind of covering a lot this year so far, we're going to talk about some more mail-in exclusives.
Oh, okay. That sounds cool.
So, real briefly here, here's my hot take on Hasbro when they're mail-in exclusives. I think I've mentioned this before, but we'll do this quick. As a child of the 80s, I was into Star Wars toys, G.I. Joe, and Transformers. Yeah. And Star Wars, when you bought them, they had a little proof of purchase thing in the back, and you can mail in for some free figures once in a while.
It was so fun to get toys in the mail. Oh my gosh!
It took 2 months or more typically, and you know, waiting by the mail every day.
So excited.
As a kid, you said, "Oh, it might take 8 weeks for delivery," but that means nothing to you. You check the mailbox every day.
Yeah, it was like Ralphie with the decoder ring.
But Kenner, I give them props for this. I'm not sure how they went about doing this. I'm sure they probably got like a big bulk mailing thing. They waited until they had 500,000 things to ship out or something like that. But Kenner, you just send in proof of purchase with your name and address, and 8 weeks later you got a free figure.
Yeah.
Hasbro, both G.I. Joe and Transformers, have either flag points or robot points. And the size of the toy you bought determined how many flag or robot points you got. Whereas
which meant you had to cut the box.
You had to cut the
Not
box.
Good for
well, same with the Star Wars figures. You had to cut out the card on the back. Yeah. But it didn't really matter for the Star Wars stuff because it was all completely free, quote unquote, right? Hasbro always charges something for it. Yeah. So as a kid who doesn't have any money, I was doing good to get the figures themselves and didn't have any other money to send something in. So it'd be like, send in 3 robot points and $2. And then
you can go mow a yard or something. Yeah.
But so as a result, I didn't get hardly any of the Hasbro mail-in stuff.
So
I got the Hood and Cobra Commander. I got, as far as Transformer, I don't think I got a single Transformer mail-in one when I was back in the day. But I do remember getting the insert in the box. It's like telling me about all the stuff you could get, right? Yeah. And the first set of stuff they sent out was about it was like a watch called the Time Warrior. It was basically just a regular watch. You press the button and the Autobot symbol split open to reveal the time.
Ooh, that sounds pretty cool. Do you have that?
I don't have the Time Warrior. So it really wasn't a Transformer per se, but it was something you got.
Neat.
And then they had the Omnibots, which we'll do eventually. The Omnibots were 3 Autobots that were called reinforcements from Cybertron, right? The Autobots, there were 3 of them that had vehicle modes like normal. They were slightly smaller scale than the rest of the Autobots you bought at the time. This is like 84, 85. Okay. But they had like a 3rd intermediate mode. Like you could flip out a couple of panels and maybe some weapons would show while they're in their car modes. They were kind of cool, right? I only knew one person who had an Omnibot when I was a kid growing up. It was my best friend Shane.
Oh, wow. Shane
he had the red Omnibot called Overdrive. I think I got the one Overdrive I have, I think was Shane. I got it to him for a trade.
Okay.
But there were also teased a set of, like, you would send in, again, some robot points and some money to get these guys called Powerdashers. And that's what we're talking about today.
Ooh,
the Powerdashers were built as these young Autobots who were still kind of learning the ways of being an Autobot.
So newly manufactured.
Yeah, so if you brought them to Earth, you could help them train and that kind of stuff, right? And the picture showed was of this one that looked like he turned into some sort of futuristic jet.
Oh.
Right? And that was all they only showed a picture of that one. They talked about get your own Powerdasher, et cetera, et cetera. Unbeknownst to me, Dave Schreiber, as a child, it wasn't until I became an adult Transformers collector that I learned there were actually 3 Powerdashers altogether.
Were you shocked?
They were sent at random. Yeah, I had no idea. So when you send in your $2 and however many robot points and got a Powerdasher, most likely you got the jet that was pictured in the catalog. And all these pictures will be thrown up here as we're talking about it. But some people got one of the other 2 forms too, and there was no warning. It was just like random. So you could send in multiple things for Powerdashers
and
get 3 of the same, or you might get 1 of each, or you might get 2 of one, and whatever. So it was kind of interesting. So let's just talk about it right now. Here we are. The Powerdashers. This is the jet one that was advertised in the catalog.
Okay.
These came from Japan. They're part of the Diaclone line. They still have the seats in them for like a Diaclone driver, because the Diaclone toy line was centered around humans actually piloting them.
Okay, so they must have been tiny.
Yeah, so little tiny little figures. So all the original first year or so of Transformers usually had a pilot seat in there because of that. They were borrowed from an existing older toy line. So these guys are all plastic. They got a lot of chrome on them for the most part, so they were really shiny. This one's got an interesting transformation because it looks like there's a couple of engines here, but they're kind of facing the wrong direction. So does he fly back? Is he meant to fly this way? I don't know, but it's kind of cool. But they all had a pullback motor.
Okay. Oh, it's still working.
All right, it still works. So I'll let you go ahead and try this. This one is called Chromar. Now, he didn't actually have a name back in the day.
Oh.
When he was sold... Yeah.
It's like a flower.
Yeah, remember, don't force anything.
I know.
Yeah. If you watch our last episode, Noelle finally broke one.
Noelle effed around and found out. Okay, here we go.
But the name for this one ultimately came from when this was sold in Italian markets.
Is that it? Is that all it does?
That's all it does.
Oh, wow.
Really simple. His arms can't move forward at all. His arms basically go up down like this. That's it.
Just
so articulation is very limited. His face is a sticker. Okay. And so they're all kind of like that. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good one if I do say so myself. So yeah, Chromar is his official name on the TF Wiki, because that's when he was sold in Italy under the Transformer line. Not kidding, look it up. He was actually given a name. In America, this was just Powerdasher. Yeah. Okay, so in fact, the other two were also Powerdashers. Technically, didn't really actually have a name. So most people just give them the name that they were given over there, because that was the only time they were actually given a name. So that is Chromar.
Okay.
Okay. Next up, we have Zetar, who is a drill tank. The Japanese love drill tanks. So many of their different science fiction properties have a drill tank.
About that.
Yeah, I guess.
So
and if you really think of a drill tank, they're completely unpractical. I mean, this one, the drill only really points out a little bit here.
Yeah.
I guess
you're
if
not
it was
gonna
really
get much leverage.
You're just gonna drill in about 3 feet, then you gotta stop. But it was always shown in cartoons and media, like they're drilling and just going straight through the earth, like it's no big deal, right? But this one is Zetar. This one I just recently refurbished. The original one I had 2 left feet, literally.
It came with
and I don't know if that was a common mistake or if I just bought one on eBay like 20 years ago. That was, someone put it together
bad. How did you discover it had 2 left feet?
It was pretty obvious. When you flipped them down, they were the same size. Yeah. And so as a result, he couldn't actually transform properly. I just recently on eBay acquired a junky one that had the right leg.
Okay.
And so I just took it apart and put the correct leg back on. So see if you can figure this one out. That also has the pullback motor, yeah.
That's still
the drill doesn't work, the drill, but it was never supposed to. No, it was never supposed to.
Okay, here we go. This looks pretty easy. There we go. Where's his face? Oh, I bet it's under. It
just pulls up. Yeah, again, sticker is his face.
Watch this. There. Here comes the arms.
Yep.
Head.
Heads
That's
up.
So cute. Okay,
his legs. The design choice I think is kind of bad about this one is when you look at his legs.
They're backwards.
They look like they should be backwards, yeah. But it looks like a point like you would normally see on a toe. Actually points backwards on the robot. But actually it makes sense for his transformation how he folds up. And a lot of times some of these would have, I think the Italian versions of this one actually had a sticker on here to kind of give it some more definition.
Sure.
But as it is now, it's like, this is flat plastic here.
I do like how
and then back here, this would make more sense from a design standpoint to be toes, but it is not. It is just like that. So that is Zetar.
Let me see. Is Zetar smiling?
No, there's kind of like just very generic robot faces.
He's kind of grouchy.
Yeah. So again, you were a kid in the 80s, you sit off thinking, I'm getting that Powerdasher that's in the catalog, and you open up the mail, and there's this one, you're like, what?
I know, I would be very
because
puzzled.
No art for this that existed in the catalog, at least. No art came with them, but they came with instruction manuals. If I can find one, I'll put up on.
Would the instruction manual possibly not match the toy that you got?
I don't think so. I think they actually, if my memory serves me right, I'll double check on this one, but if memory serves me right, you still got the correct instruction manual. Okay. So there would have been like a piece of art that was very basic, showing what this, it was like an isometric drawing of the toys, typically how the instruction manuals went. But, that to me, it would have been a surprise. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea I was getting this one. I thought I was getting this one. So maybe that was probably intended to, try again, Send in 2 more robot toys.
Okay, so what do we got next?
The last one is called Aragon. Not Aragorn. But Aragon. And he turns his
Is
head.
that an element?
No, it's
Okay.
Argon. Argon. Good job. And Aragon turns into like what's called an F1 racer type. F1 type is his official designation. He's got the giant engine
that's not going to
blocks
be good
up top.
aerodynamically. That's not going. That's going into the ground.
Yeah. So try Aragon here. So
Oopsie, the engines fall off. Right, that's his feet, aren't they?
Yep.
That was easy.
They
just fell down.
They do pull down to give him more
Okay.
leg.
And
Otherwise,
he's
he's got like
got
stumpy
hands.
legs. Yep.
Okay. This face is here.
Yep.
His face is already up.
Nope. I mean, your face is out, but you got to turn it. You turn the face the right way.
Oh, okay. Oh, still had to do a little.
Yeah,
stuff.
you got to extend his legs too. Otherwise, he's got actually
here we go. Did I do
normal
it?
length legs.
Did I
Yeah,
do
that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So horrible. The only one who can really do anything articulation is Zetar here. He can bend his arms at his elbows.
Yeah.
And that's just a quirk of his transformation. If it wasn't for the way he transforms, he would probably be just as stiff as
but this one is the lamest one. I'm going to put these in order.
So this one's got articulation at his wrist, but it basically allows him to do like,
Yeah.
So it doesn't really help
ride a
him.
surfboard.
Yeah.
Ooh, hang ten, dude.
This one is my worst one as far as the chrome wear on this one.
Yeah.
The chrome is really rubbing off on
But in
the
terms
F1.
of non-lameness, this one's the least lame. This one's middle. This one is the most lame.
So the one that everyone's expecting, you like that one the least.
Yeah, because it has
that has
the most insignificant transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Or this one has his face hidden. I like that.
You pop it up. This one has his face hidden in the sense you have to turn his head around to reveal
At least
his face.
that's why he's middle. That's why he's not the lamest.
He's mid. He's mid at best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's also the lamest vehicle. I'm sorry, but those giant engines just...
It makes good feet.
They make great feet.
They make great feet.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know what they say about robots with big feet?
They got big hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, he does.
He's got a big drill.
He do. Well...
But so again, all three of these can hold a Diaclone driver, so that's why they have the obvious cockpit on it. It's like, But yeah, these were billed as kind of like young Transformers you could add to your army and help them train to become, into their full Autobot power as this time went on. So that was kind of a fun little angle on trying to sell these guys.
Yeah.
Lame-ish toys in the sense that there's not a lot going on. Again,
Still.
No weapons.
I will say
no articulation.
They did come in the mail. So that takes their lameness factor down a bit because that was always
and then the added surprise of I might not get the Jetlo which I expected.
That's
and I don't know why they didn't advertise that as far as you might get one of three, but I'm very sure it was just only pictured this and it said Powerdasher as opposed to Powerdashers.
You were also a little kid, so you might have not read it fully.
That's
you
true
just saw
too.
the picture and you're like, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
There's always that.
When I put it up on the screen, that'll tell one way or the other.
We'll find out. We'll find out then. But
now, so these guys didn't get any play in the cartoons.
Okay.
None of them.
You only knew about it by buying other toys.
Right, but they did finally get some play in more of the modern comic books. They're usually kind of background characters, look, there's Zetar in the background type of thing. It's kind of like a crowd scene. Like, that's pretty cool.
You got to find one of those scenes now.
Yeah.
Pop that
as far as I know, none of these guys have been quote unquote a main character in any sense of the word. But because of their nature as like one of the first mail-in toys, I'll say freebie, although you had to give some money.
Yeah.
It was to cover the toy was free. You had to cover shipping and handling.
Yeah, kind of like with eBay now.
Right.
The magazine is $5, but that'll be $25 for shipping and handling.
But because of their status, I think, as these first mail-in offer type Transformers, they did get some love recently. And we're not going to transform these because we might do these in a separate episode.
Oh, you got big ones over there.
But they've redone them using existing molds.
Okay.
So this was done back just like in the last 10 years. I can't remember exactly what year. I'll put it on the screen.
Are those just models? They don't transform?
No, they transform.
Oh my god.
They took an existing Transformer,
Yeah.
gave them a new head typically.
Who did this?
Hasbro, yeah.
Aww.
These were I think these were all exclusives though.
Those are cool.
You got these from Amazon or something like that as part of it. They were usually part of a bigger pack.
Okay. Do you want me to try Transformers?
No, I don't think we don't want to spend too much time on these guys. I just want to show they exist. So here's the more modern uptake of Cromar. He's based upon a six-gun figure, with six-gun was a Transformer that came with Metroplex. Here's the more modern update on Zetar. This one is a remold of a tank that came with Triptychon. I think his name was Brunt. So they basically changed the head on Brunt.
Does his head still go up and down?
No, just the cone pops off.
Okay.
Yeah. But they did give him new heads and new coloring, right? All these guys can pull apart and become things you can attach to other Transformers. So it kind of still fits in with the idea they can help out. They're going to be there to help. And lastly, you got the more updated version of Aragon. which was based off of the Gasket.
He's got guns.
Gasket and Gromit, who came with Metroplex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at that. This time they gave him weapons.
Yeah. He's covered in guns now.
Yeah.
So like this guy was originally based on a figure that came with Metroplex. This guy was based on a figure that originally would have come with Fortress Maximus, and this guy was based on a figure that would have originally come with Triptychon. So they just gave them new color schemes, new heads, and named them after these guys, and that was pretty cool.
Well, that's fun though. I'm sure the fans loved it.
So it'd be like, oh yeah, and they were
like a web redemption.
And they were exclusive sets too. Like I said, you had to get them by. I think a lot of places sold them, but I think officially they were Amazon exclusives. But there we go. So the Powerdashers, one of the early mail-in figures from Transformers.
It's a cool little bit of history when it comes to the toy line.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we'll cover the Omnibots probably soon, and then I think the most popular, in my opinion, or the one most sought after mail-in figure was Reflector, who turned into a camera.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Because Reflector was definitely in the cartoon. He was very prominent in the first season. But the only way you could get Reflector is by mailing in for him. So that was
candid photography.
He did. He was like 3 Transformers that turned into one
wow.
vehicle mode, although it's a camera, right? So that's cool. And I of course have that one too. So we'll talk about all these mail-ins here eventually. Yeah. We've done the wasn't a mail-in, but we did the little rollaway cars that we did a couple of episodes ago. The mini spies.
Okay.
So we're kind of covering all the freebie pack-ins stuff. I know.
So,
Noelle, as I teased at the beginning.
Do I get to talk about the brewery?
Yeah, a couple weekends ago, we went to a new brewery that we had never been to.
Let me tell the story. Why didn't you transform one of those while I'm telling the story?
One of the new ones?
Yeah, you can. You can transform it.
I will do my
Your favorite one while I'm talking. Okay, so we went to visit my sister and her family, my brother-in-law, our niece and nephew. They live in Washington, Illinois. And
near Peoria.
Yes. And while we were there, they said, we want to take you to this brewery that is on a farm. It's in Metamora, Illinois. It's called Evergreen Brewing. And I'm like, absolutely. I can't wait to get there. This place was unlike anywhere we've ever been. It reminded us a lot of Scratch in the sense that everything was just really rustic, but literally, this is a family. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of this place really quickly. So the family, 5 generations have been farming. And for years, farming was their livelihood. And as economics have changed, they realized that was not a sustainable lifestyle. And they end up selling a large number of their fields. But they still live on a patch of the farm. And they decided, wouldn't it be fun if we tried to do brewing and just turn this into a little spot where people can come and try our beers. And that is exactly what they've done while Dave breaks his toy, while Dave pulls a Noelle over here. So they keep growing it piece by piece, but I mean, literally, what they've done is they've taken the outbuildings and they've turned them into different spaces. So like their old wash house is now like where they do the brewing underneath in like the basement area, but you can go upstairs and that's where the tap room is. They've got a shed that's set up with games and tables. They've got all kinds of tables outside. They at one point let their dog out in the yard and it was running around inside a fence wanting everybody to pet it. It was just so
cute.
Kids were out in the field playing wiffle ball. They say, come and grab a cold beer and take a tour of the farm. It was just so laid back and fun. They had somebody there selling homemade pizzas. You could get snacks there. They were selling popcorn. They were selling cheese from other local farms. And their beers are brewed mostly with ingredients that they grow on that farm. The brewer, his name is Adam Summer. And he'd never been a brewer until they decided to do this. So this wasn't something that wasn't his lifelong hobby or passion, but he's fallen in love with it. He's actually an engineer and mathematician by trade. But he's got strong farm management experience and big imagination. And that's what they've created is Evergreen Brewing. And the reason we were only able to try the beers there is because they said they only can offer growlers between Thanksgiving and St. Patrick's Day because they can't keep up with the volume in the summer because they're so popular. So,
so you can only get it in limited time. Well, we were just there at the wrong time.
Yeah, but
okay, cool.
So the day we were there, I tried their stout, which they poured from a beer engine. So they had it on cask. Dave, you had a beer that was made with a particular grain. That was their anniversary beer, and it was very interesting. It was very sweet. They had a cream ale that was fabulous. I tried it was a New England IPA. That was the style. Oh, mwah, just wonderful. My brother-in-law told us that they'd been there a couple weekends before, and there was a beer festival, and they had a fire pit going, and they were taking a poker from the fire and smoking the beers with it. So they were getting
caramelized the foam or something
like their stout would taste like s'mores. And he said it was just incredible. So that's what I mean. It's like not just beer; it's an experience.
Yes.
So we had the pleasure of talking to the guys behind the bar. They were very nice, very fun. The day we were there was just beautiful. But it's a perfect place for families.
It was Easter Sunday.
Yeah, it was Easter Sunday, and it was packed.
Yes.
Bring your dog, bring your kids. The kids will go out in the pasture and play. It was just a beautiful experience, and I cannot wait to go back up there. Metamora, Illinois, Evergreen Brewing.
So check them out. We're gonna get ready to sign off here in a second, just briefly to show you some of the pictures and video we took at the time we were there. We did document while we were there, so you'll get to see that. And then when we come back, we'll wrap things up, and we'll. Sure.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
They also offer sodas, so if you're not a beer drinker, and they have wine. So the sodas they carry are craft soda and
I don't know the name of it either.
Well, we'll show a picture of a can. But our 19-year-old said it was one of the best sodas they ever had. So anyway, cool. They had an orange dreamsicle soda and a pumpkin. So anyway, something for everybody there.
So check out this footage we took, and we'll be back in a second. So we're at Evergreen Brewing, and we both got our beers. Noelle, what did you get?
All right, this is a stout. It's called Chasing Shadows, and they poured it with a beer engine, so I had a nice, creamy, foamy head when I started drinking it.
And how is it?
It's very very roasty. It's excellent stout.
And what did I get? I forgot now.
You had the Dutch and Roll.
Yes. Dutch and Roll.
And they said it was a special kind of beer, but you're going to have to ask them what it was.
Do you remember what it was, John?
I'm looking it up.
Okay. So
and they have this.
So mine's more of a red ale, less than color wise.
No, it's got a very grainy taste, and it's sweet. There's in an anniversary glass.
Right. If I want to keep the glass, I just. I already paid for the glass.
Okay.
I want to get later on. I just put the deposit back whenever I take it back.
Now, Rach over here is those pumpkin spice old-fashioned soda.
You got a soda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Oliver, what did you guys get?
Cream ales, and this is a saute.
So this is Evergreen Brewing in Metamora, Illinois.
So they brew everything in the basement. We asked if we could take home growlers, and they said they only do them through Thanksgiving and through St. Patrick's Day because they can't keep up with demand.
So that's why
they live here. This is a brewery. It's just somebody made a brewery in their yard. So the beers are all just delicious.
We'll do a little quick walk around real fast so you can kind of see what the place is like. It just kind of keeps going and going. There's all kinds of stuff there. People playing outside, lots of houses. Just keeps going. They got another room there you can hit. There. There it is, Evergreen Farms Brewery. Food, there's their house. What are you getting this time?
So I'm going to get what they call the Maze Haze. It's a New England IPA.
I'm getting the Casting Shadows American Stout that Noelle had before.
Yeah, you might be able to actually do it live. Watch the beer engine pour.
Oh yeah, we'll do that.
I used to remember. I used to live in St. Louis, and I loved to go over to Fast Eddie's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's
right
down the
there,
street,
yeah.
down the street from Fast Eddie's.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, so the food was. I remember being like, I don't think I've ever eaten out as cheap as I.
The food's still cheap.
Is it still
Yeah.
cheap? It was, for bar food, it wasn't bad.
No.
So what was the one beer again, Noelle? That was
So Dave drank Dutch and Roll, which is a Kuwait, which is a very grainy beer, special grain.
cool. And then after this one here, I got the. It wasn't from Evergreen, but it's a Schwartz beer. You remember who it was from?
No, I'm pretty sure it was Evergreen.
Not the Schwartz beer. Not the Schwartz beer. I'll go find out when I go inside.
Okay.
Okay, so Noelle, what are you trying now? What you just got?
This is a Maze Haze. It's a New England IPA.
Okay, try it. How'd you describe that?
How's it going?
So it's very sweet on the front end, with that wonderful pineapple-y bitterness on the back.
And you had what I'm having now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll give you my thoughts on it when I actually
Okay.
try the porter.
No, it's a stout.
It's a stout.
It's called Chasing Thunder.
Chasing Thunder.
Or Chasing Storms. Something like that.
Yeah, it's very creamy. Very creamy. Got a big head. They use a beer engine on it, so they kind of
Yeah.
pump some extra air into it and stuff like that to make it extra head. So it's really, really good. So if you get a chance, come up here to Metamora, Illinois, and try out Evergreen Brewing.
It's
This
awesome.
farm is out in the middle of nowhere, but man, it's like Scratch we went to.
They
back
have
in the
food
past.
too.
Well, here, tell us about the food.
Well, it's a truck that's going to be selling specialty pizzas
You've
at
seen
4
that
o'clock.
and when I walked around.
They
so
also, you can get farmhouse cheese. You can get popcorn.
Popcorn,
and
right
all
there.
kinds of snacks.
So we're here with our family today. So everybody, real quick, you're on. There's our family. So we're just hanging out, having some beers, having a good time.
On BeerFormers.
More than meets the eye. All right. Hope you enjoyed seeing what the Evergreen was like. So as we get ready to wrap things up here in this video, as we like to say here all the time, if you would like to know anything about any other Transformer that we haven't covered before, shoot us a message and we'll be happy to put that on our docket. So we talk about that as soon as possible.
That's it, really. And sorry. Yeah, you threw it to me.
You've got
and I
one
blew
job,
it.
Noelle.
If there are any beers or spirits that you would like us to try, please post it in the comments because we're always looking for new places like Evergreen Brewing. We're always looking for new ideas. Happy to give it a whirl if we can make it there.
And I think there's many ways you could do this. I think because he comes apart in different put together ways. But I think I did finally get the more modern version of Aragon there. But
nice.
If you would like to know more about the Powerdashers, go to tfwiki.net. That's where I get most of my images that you'll see on the screen during this video. I believe I'm going to blank on this one now, but as I want to do because I'm old and befuddled. But I believe there is a Powerdashers video from Chris McFeely. So prove me wrong, or tell me that I'm wrong about that. Or Chris McFeely, if you happen to see this, make a video about the Powerdashers if you haven't done so already. But yeah, go to those places if you'd like to learn more about the Powerdashers or just Transformers in general. But as we get ready to kind of sign off here now, as we like to say here on BeerFormers, we have nothing to cheers today. So we'll just
I got my coffee
do a fifth
with
again.
my shake.
But make sure you play responsibly and drink responsibly. Hit all those buttons, help support the channel. Thanks for stopping by. And
All right.
cheers. Go to Evergreen Brewery.